another episode of the Jarring Science Club. I'm your host, Brenda, and today we're going to be exploring chemical versus physical changes in a sneaky way when they look exactly the same. We'll be using sugar and salt to see if dissolving these into water is going to make a chemical change or a physical change. Here's what you need: some salt, a spoon, a measuring cup, 2 colors of food dye, 2 jars, and some sugar. You'll also need some water to fill up your jars. All right, let's get started. Welcome to my science lab. All right, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna heat up some water to make it a little easier to dissolve the salt and the sugar into our jars. We don't have to get it too hot, just a little bit warm. While that's heating, I'm gonna set it to the side. And I'm gonna add the colors to my jars. I'm gonna put red in the salt and blue in the sugar. I'm going to add 1/4 cup of each ingredient to its respective jar. Here's our sugar in the blue jar and our salt in the red jar. Now, if you remember, a physical change is something that changes form, but it doesn't change chemical structure. Whereas a chemical change is when the chemicals and molecules actually form into something new. Typically, a physical change can be reversed, while a chemical change is not very likely to be able to be reversed. We are going to test our salt and our sugar to see if they are physical or chemical reactions. Okay, our water is hot. So I'm going to fill up each jar to this 200 line to make things even. All right, let's dissolve those in there. The red one is our salt. And the blue one is our sugar. I think it is a teensy bit too much sugar for this amount of water to fully dissolve. You can still see some little bits in the bottom. Some of that is the food coloring, but there's a couple of sugar particles. But then the salt, it's not dissolving. It does not want to dissolve. You can really see all the salt particles still in there. We would need more water to dissolve this amount of salt in. So now the question remains, is this a physical or a chemical change? Would you be able to reverse it? Can you remove sugar from liquid? Can you remove salt from liquid? Can it go back to the form it was before? Now, whether or not salt dissolving into water is a chemical or a physical change is actually a controversial subject because it can return back to its original state just like sugar by evaporating the water. But because something new is made that didn't exist before when salt is added to water, it is technically considered a chemical change, even though it is reversible. So that's a bit of interesting controversy in the scientific community. Salt dissolving into water might be the non-Newtonian fluid of the chemical versus physical change argument.